Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein, and I will be your presenter today. We're going to be talking about pledging, creating that pledge campaign for the next year, how to enter those pledge cards as they are returned, and then also handling any prepaid giving that you might get. So donations that people are giving in 2024 for their 2025 pledge. Pledge cards go out, or you're asking people to pledge for the next year. As those pledge cards start coming back in, you want to make sure you enter that information in donations. That way, once the pledge information goes in, when you pass out donation statements or run reports, you can really get a good idea of what people have pledged and then how much they've given so far towards their pledge. You can run this report for the whole year, or you can run it quarterly. Kind of depends on also how you run your donation statements, but you can give people a glimpse of where they are within meeting their pledge by entering a pledge campaign. So you can get a pledges one of two ways. Right here in the middle of the screen, the blue ribbon, or up here at the top under Accounts and Pledges, just click on Pledges. It takes you to the same place. Campaign Pledges tab is where we are going to begin. Right here under Campaign, if you hit the down arrow, you're going to see all of your previously created campaigns. To make a new one, you need to come here, hit the green plus sign, enter a campaign name. You can just update the year at the end, or if you have a unique name you'd like to use, you can put that here. Say OK. And then you need to come down here and choose the account. So this is the giving account in donations that people are pledging to. You might have an account called Pledges. It might be general fund, might be building. Maybe you're doing a big organ maintenance type of thing. You can choose whatever giving account you want. If you don't have one that works in the list, you can always hit the little green plus sign here, make a new one. I'm just going to choose general fund for today. The dates are always going to default to the current period. So I do need to click in here and push these out to 2025. The amount default, frequency default, you don't really need to change these. You can if you want to. If everybody's going to be like a weekly pledger, for example, you could change the frequency to weekly. And then every time you enter a pledge, it's going to default to weekly. Same with amount. If everybody pledges the same amount, you could put in an amount there. But if everybody's pledge is going to be unique, just come over here and hit Add Givers. And then the second half of the screen is going to appear. So this is where you go in once you get those pledge cards back, or you know what people are pledging, and you come in here and you choose the individual that's making the pledge, what their pledge amount is. Let's say they're going to give $5,000, and then you can specify their pledge frequency. Several different frequencies in here. A lot of them are pretty straightforward. Two that I want to talk about just a little bit more is flat and annual. Something to keep in mind, if you choose annual as your pledge frequency, when you go to run reports throughout next year, you need to make sure you're always running the report for the entire year. So for the annual pledge amount to be calculated on reports, it has to start the first date of the campaign and the last day. So first day of the year and the last day of the year to be able to calculate an annual pledge amount. If you want to put in a pledge amount, but you want to be able to run the report, say, through second quarter, or you want to do quarterly, then flat is going to be a better option. Flat just means that this person is going to give $5,000 and they're going to give it any way that they want, basically. But annual is going to lock you in to that full year. So you have to run a report or a donation statement for that full year to see that pledge amount. I'm going to do flat for this one. Hit Add Giver to Campaign. So here is Lucy's pledge. And then I'm going to come up here. I'm going to do Nina for another example. And I'm going to say she's going to give $500 a month. So I'm going to change her to monthly and add that. So keep in mind, you can have different pledgers with different frequencies and obviously different amounts. But you can have different frequencies within the same pledge campaign. Okay, so continue through your pledge cards and get all of those pledges entered. Once you have everything inputted, you can come in and do print report. And that will give you a nice campaign comparison report that you can just send to your printer or give to whomever to just kind of verify that your pledges have been entered properly. Okay. Something else to consider, if you find that you want to copy your campaign from a previous year and use it for the current year, you can do that by using this copy campaign button. What this does is it allows you to take, say, all of your pledges from 2024, copy them forward and paste them here in 2025. You can definitely do that. Saves you a bunch of entry if you, for the most part, people are same people are going to be pledging. However, you can come down in here and you can, in these white fields, you can adjust different amounts and then that will recalculate your total pledge. So if you have someone who pledged last year that didn't pledge this year, you can hit the minus sign and delete the row, or you can click in any of these fields and make specific changes if you need to. Okay. All right, so that is entering and creating your pledge campaign and then adding your pledges. Something to keep in mind, to enter a prepaid properly, which is down at the bottom of page 5 here, you need to make sure that you have the pledge entered first. So for someone to have a prepaid, they have to have a pledge that they are prepaying. Okay, so make sure before you try to do any enter donations for those prepaid gifts, you have the campaign set up and you have that individual's pledge entered first. All right, so we're going to work with Nina and Lucy for our example today. Let me close out of here. And I am, for now, going to go up to special functions and I'm going to go to link to accounting. If you don't use the accounting module, don't worry about this part. But if you do use the accounting module, I want to point out the proper way to set up a prepaid. So if you were familiar with the old contributions module, so the module from years ago before donations, our current module was created, you had to have a separate giving account set up called prepaid. You do not want to use a giving account specifically called prepaid. Okay, and I'll show you this in a minute on the enter donation screen. I think it's easier to see it. But what you do want to do if you use accounting is make sure you have this prepaid credit account filled in for your pledge account. Okay, so for the campaign that we just set up, we use the general fund account. That's what people are pledging to. Here is the default debit account. Here is the default credit account when people give regular donations to our general fund account. Now, the difference is with handling a prepaid is people are prepaying that money for the following or the upcoming year. So that money we don't want to show up as income until 2025. So what we recommend doing is in this prepaid credit account column is choosing a liability account that's been created over in the accounting module. So it's going to start with a 2 and call that prepaid pledges. And what will happen here is when the program through Enter Donations sees that someone is prepaying a pledge, it is not going to put that money in as income. It's going to actually hit that liability account called prepaid pledges in 2024. Liability accounts carry their balance into the new year. So what will happen when you open up 2025 in accounting, you update your beginning balances, the prepaid pledges liability account is going to have a balance in there in 2025. And then whomever does your accounting, they can go in, whether it's a lump sum or they kind of stagger it out through the first couple months of the year, they can do a journal entry to take the money out of the liability and then put it in the proper income account. So that's how that money is going to show as income in the next year. Okay, it's all written out in this document. I will show you actually how it looks here in a second. But if you want more information about handling prepaids, specifically in donations and specifically in accounting, page 5 and 6 is what's going to give you the rundown on how to do that. Okay, so before you start entering your prepaids, make sure you have that liability account set up and you have it set up here in your prepaid credit account for the giving account that people are pledging to. All right, so let's go into enter donations. So You get a prepaid, it's Monday morning, you're putting in your donations. First thing you need to do, let me shrink the screen. This is way too big. Here we go. First thing you need to do is enter your donation date. So let's say we got a prepaid this last Sunday, November the 3rd. Choose that. If you use batch codes, put that in. Again, it's optional. Come down to your giver box and you are going to choose Nina. We know Nina has a pledge for next year because we've put it in. We're going to put in how much she's prepaying. Say it's $500. Come down here. If we choose check as our payment method, we have to put in a check or reference number. And then we come down here under account pledge. Now, the biggest difference with a prepaid, if we just leave general fund here, this is going to be for general fund for this, for 11/3/2024. Right now, the program does not see this as a pledge. It just sees it as a regular donation to general fund for November 3rd. If we start scrolling down to the bottom of the list, this is where it gets a little different. We're going to start seeing some pledge ranges. So anywhere you see a pledge range, that tells us that Nina has a pledge to that account. So if we look right here on the list, you can see it says general fund 1/1/2025 to 12/31/2025. Okay. So the donation date is 11/3/2024. That's when they gave the money. That's when it needs to show up on their donation statement. But we're telling it this is to credit the pledge for 2025. Okay, so I'm just going to hit done, add to batch. Yep, that's fine. They're prepaying a future pledge. That's what we want. It's going to pop down at the bottom, and we can see now here's that prepaid coming down here at the bottom. Same thing with Lucy. Choose Lucy. We'll say she gave $100. Say it's cash. And right now it says current. So what that tells us is that Lucy currently has a pledge. So she also has a pledge to general fund in 2024. But we don't want 2024. We want to go down and we want to choose her 2025 pledge. So we're going to select that one. Done, add to batch. And this is just letting us know that we've selected something in the future, which is fine. You can say you don't want to see it again, but this is also a safeguard if you accidentally pick the wrong thing. Okay, so here are our two donations. I'm going to go ahead and post and transfer them. I'm not going to print it right now. So now if we come down here and we look, we got some other ones here, you can ignore those, but if we look here on our date that we used and we expand, we see here's our total amount. So we had $500 donation and $100 donation to general fund. But when it goes over to accounting, it already knows it's a prepaid and it's going to credit that liability account over in accounting instead of the normal income account. It already knows and it's going to deposit it in the proper spot. Okay? Again, if you don't use accounting, don't worry about this. But that is exactly how you want those prepaids to look from enter donation to posting. Okay? Now, let me show you what people's donation statements are going to look like. We have just a couple more minutes. I'm going to come in here in donation statement. I'm going to leave it for 2024 and pretend like it's, the end of the year, and we're going to run all of our 2024 donation statements for people. I'm going to hit next. I just want you to see what the 24 statement is going to look like and what the 2025 statement is going to look like. So I'm going to go back to our default template though. And I'm going to come down here and I'm just going to do uncheck print for all. And I want to choose Lucy and I want to choose Nina because those are our two examples. I'm going to go ahead and hit print. So here's that $500 check that we put in. And if you look down here in this account summary section, you're going to see, even though it's reporting on gifts within 2024, because they did in fact give this in 2024 on November 3rd, we can see though right here, these are the dates that they've pledged. So they gave a gift in 2024 for their general fund pledge of 2025. And if we look to the right, you can see they gave $600 or $500. That is their amount given to their pledge. Okay. Now let's close out of here. And I want to show you if we adjust the dates to next year, what that's going to look like. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to fix my year. I'm going to bounce up to 2025. I'm going to hit next. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to change this criteria really fast because it's looking at people who gave and we don't have anyone who's given a transaction yet. So let's go next. Uncheck, and we're looking for Nina and Lucy. Let's see if we can find her. There she is. Print this. And if we scroll down right here, prior giving. So this is the 2025 statement. So the $500 that Nina gave showed up on her statement last year. That was part of her transactions that were listed up here. It's not showing as a donation on our 2025 statement, but it is showing in the prior giving column, and it is affecting her over under. So it's counting it as money towards her pledge. Okay. And as she continues to give to her 2025 pledge in the 2025 year, that money will continue to add up here in the amount given, and that will also offset her over under as well. Okay. I hope that's clear. If you're worried about it, you can go in and put in a pledge campaign and try to play with it and see what it looks like. I had an exact call of that today. Customer wanted to know how to enter prepaids. We put in a pledge for herself as an example, and then I walked her through the enter donation screen so she could see how it would look to choose that prepaid. But it's pretty straightforward. The document, to me, really walks you through how to do it really well. I think it's pretty clear. So head out to Church Windows, get that document if you're interested and you want some help with that. But that's everything that I wanted to go over with you guys about donations, New Year prep.